be more than human. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Joseph Carroll. I write under the pen name J.R. Carroll. And today we are going to talk about why I don't DNF books until today. But before we roll into that, I wanted to kind of make an announcement. Me and my wife have been talking about doing something together here on the channel. And so, what we've kind of thought about doing is she's going to pick a book once a month and we're going to read it together. It's totally her pick. And so, this month we are going to be reading American Psycho. It is, for me and as well as for her, one of our favorite movies of all time. I've heard a lot of things about the book. Some people really love the book. Some people are like, oh, it's really disturbing. So it's only like a 400-page book, so it shouldn't take too long to get through. A couple of days, and that I'll make an announcement. So it'll probably be, probably a week from now we'll probably get it in. So that should be really fun, and I'll let you guys. We'll come up with a fancy name for the videos that we do. But back to today's video and why I don't DNF. There's a multitude of reasons, but I know some people who will DNF a book at the drop of a hat. They're like, they get a chapter in, and it's just not immediately looking. They're out of there. I know people who have rules to it. They're like, I normally give a book 100 pages, and if it doesn't have me hooked by then, I DNF it. I drop it, and that's, to me, I've always been, kind of in the camp, and I know other people who don't DNF books. And I've always been kind of in that, realm. And there, one reason is, I guess I don't like to not finish things in general. If I'm starting something, I want to get it through to the end. But, also I kind of feel bad. I'm like, I'm always kind of like, okay, this book isn't like, I'm not really in love with this book, but I'm already in it. I might as well go ahead and finish it. I give them a shot, maybe and another thing, like especially in movies, I'm a big moment person. A movie can be like an average movie and then have just a great moment or two in it, and that can elevate it for me. So I guess in some ways I'm kind of, with that in the book too, where I'm like, okay, this book isn't so great, but there might be some great moments there that I would miss if I DNF'd it, and I would feel bad that I missed out on the opportunity to experience a great moment. And also, I'm pretty good about picking books in the first place. I can read the blurb on a book or kind of hear a summary of it and kind of know that book is for me. So that way I kind of have a very low percentage chance of running into a bad book, or a book I just won't enjoy. And then I've been, watching BookTube and have friends within BookTube, and I kind of know their tastes are kind of in line with my tastes. So if they say, this book's a home run, if they say it's a home run, I'm sure maybe it won't be as good for me, but I can assure myself that it's going to be good. I'm not going to read it. But maybe another reason too, especially for this last year, is 2 years ago I was reading some monster books, right? And I told myself I'm gonna try to minimize these huge books. So this year was my biggest reading year ever. Amount of books, page, everything. And maybe that could also factor in is, reading smaller books, you get into it and you're like, okay, it's only a 350 page book. I'm 150 pages in. Maybe it's not the greatest thing ever, but it's like, okay, man, you're halfway home. It's only another 150 pages or so. So you just finish it out. And that's kind of, how I've, been. And also, I'm still, relatively new in reading. Last year I did about 60 books. The previous year was maybe 20. But so I don't have, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books or 1,000 books under my belt to where, I hope I never get this way, but you can tell, and this happens with movie people as well. It's like you watch so many movies, you read so many books, sometimes you start getting jaded and then you start to overanalyze what you're consuming, or you get overly critical. So I'm sure there are people who have those high book counts that would have read some of the books I read and then would have just been like, super critical of them and toss them out. And that's also because, I read for just kind of entertainment purposes. So some people who are wanting to get really deep into books and into the feelings and all that, maybe they wouldn't, enjoy the books that I read as much. Maybe, who knows? But that leads me into kind of what the title was pushing. I did a poll of who were the most overrated authors, right? And at the end of the whole thing, the winner ended up being Sarah J. Maas. And so the whole thing was an experiment because I planned on reading a book by whoever had won. So, and I was going to read her newer series because I assume, that there's 2 books out, and I assume the 3rd book is either coming out this year or next year sometime. And I was like, well, if I like them, well, it'll be one of those things where I'll be able to read the newest book when it comes out. And I really wasn't paying attention, but this book, I want to say it's like, it's from her, like the Blood and House of Blood and something. I'll put it up here on the screen when I edit, so you'll know. But that book is like 850 pages or something ridiculous. And so I'm sitting there and I'm actually doing the audiobook version of it. And I'm like 2 hours in and I'm just like, man, it is so like edgelordy, and I don't know. She has to be a good writer because she's sold so many books. I'm not one of these people who will hate on somebody who's super popular. Like, well, they suck. Well, they must be good enough to have people keep coming back. But just something about her writing style and the characters that she's writing. The book kind of throws you right in to, and she just starts throwing all these mythical things, and it's definitely does not hold your hand at all, which sometimes that's fine. But then, like I said, the writing style, her character is like, she's a total badass, but she's super edgy. She does all the drugs and sleeps with whoever she wants, and and it's very, I don't know. It to me, it's like an angsty teen book, and maybe for some people it's their favorite book of all time. And if you like all the things I just said, books that are super edgy and super cussy and whatever, if you like those types of books, this might be the book for you. But it's just not for me. And I almost want to force myself to go back in and listen to the next 20 hours of this book or whatever, even more. It's a huge book. But I think this will officially be my first DNF. Let me know in the comments, do you DNF books? How quickly do you DNF books? Is this a thing where you're just like automatically, it's out, or are you like me and you're a glutton for punishment and you just keep it going? So, if you like this, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and remember, be more than human.